Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Noobs to Pros. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at two of the games I had in my M48 Patton. This is the American Tier 10 medium. It is, in my opinion, a very underrated medium. I think many people, ever since the advent of Russian mediums, don't really consider the M48 that competitive anymore. In pub matches, this tank is phenomenal. I have had numerous wonderful games in it, and in these two replays, I hope to show you what this tank is actually good for. Now we're gonna start here on this map, Severgos, and I'm gonna rush to this corner as fast as I can. You want to hold this corner as long as you can. Generally, this will give you access to everybody that's coming into this side of the map. And now I look at the across and spot two E100s. I go forward and put a shot into the E100. That was fairly lucky. The shot dipped into his lower plate. I didn't think I would make it. I see the other E100 was looking at me. I have no intention of going out and getting plastered in the face, so I'm just biding my time at this moment, trying to figure out what to do next. Now for a second here, I was struck with a moment of terror. I thought the E100 was about to come down here. Luckily, the E100 just thought that, I wasn't that good of a player and let me just have his lower plate before I could shoot at his anything else. And I made him pay for it by planting another shot into the lower plate. Now this Centurion tries to come around, but I know I can pin him fairly easily, so I actually put one shot into him. So the E100 fired. I tried to get some damage done, but unfortunately he was angling rather effectively at the moment, and I wasn't able to do that. But that time I went around and made sure that I will make my shot count and take the one of the E100s out of the game. Now the Centurion puts one into me, which I'm not really that scared of. I see the 704 coming out. I know he's staring in this direction. I don't want to take a shot, to the face. So I just stay there, until the 704 either starts backing off or starts to go away. And then I'll go and plant a shot into him. I come out again, I spot him again, and then I'm back off again. I have no intention of trading shots with the 704. He will be the clear winner in that case, because he'll be able to plant one shot into me, and then he'll be able to back off. At that time, I was trying to sneak a shot in if I could, but I didn't. Now I know the 704 fired. I put one shot into him, and I roughly have a vague idea of what his reload is. So I'm just gonna make sure that I make my second shot count, because I have easily could put two shots for every one shot that he tried to take. Now I can see the E100 in the distance, but I'd rather take the Centurion out of the game. At that point, the E100's by himself and we can easily swarm him from both sides. Now I tried to track him rather quickly. I could have taken my time with that shot, but fortunately for him, the shot goes high and lands in his upper left plate, and unfortunately it just bounces. I take a speculative shot where I saw the RD, excuse me, and I, apparently did damage to him, which I was not expecting. And so at this point I see the rest of their tanks are kind of in middle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift gears and start going into the middle in an attempt to take advantage of, the tanks being, in a very bad position. So I start to make my way instead of going all the way around where people in the in the southwest portion of the map could have easily had shots on me. I start to come back and go up the middle. I put one shot in the object for 30. It starts moving away. I was aiming to take a shot in the other one, but unfortunately he died. Now I tried to hurry my shot and try to put one in the object for 30, but unfortunately for him, the accuracy on the move for this tank wasn't as good as I had hoped for. I come around and put one more shot in the IS-8. You know, I tracked him with my first one, didn't want to take a second shot from him. And that is the end of our poor IS-8 buddy. Now I'm trying to go up here, but unfortunately this gradient over here, the tank doesn't seem to want to climb it. So instead, you know, I see the STI in the distance, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let the IS-7 sort of like progress his way down the middle of the map, and I'm gonna just come up here and start putting shots into him. You know, I don't know what he was trying to do, whether, you know, he even cared at the moment, you know, what the team was doing or not. And so I turn around at this moment, knowing that the last two tanks spotted were in the southwest, and you know, I'm just gonna go make a beeline towards them. At this moment, I really had no idea how much damage I had done. I was just like, you know, during this drive, I sort of like realized the amount of damage I had done, and I was like, you know, it would be a really good game if I could sneak in a couple of more shots, you know. That would be nice. And I slowly make my way to the corner, you know, where I can get shots in the T-57. Now, here's one thing you have to know about the T-57. T-57, even if he like clips like all 4 shots, is still quite an amazing tank. So you still have to play, you know, against him rather carefully. At this point, I had no idea whether the T-57 had actually fired all 4 shells or not, so I'm just gonna go around and test that theory. I put one shot in his tracks to track him, because I know there was a tank coming from the other side. You know, I put another shot in his side. Now the Centurion comes up here, you know, attempting to take advantage of the T-57. Unfortunately for him, the T-57 makes him pay. I put one more shot into him, I back off, all he does is track me, and that's all she wrote for the poor T-57. So, next game is on Karelia. This is a rather interesting map. I think the south side on this is much more stronger than the north side, especially if you know what you're doing, and their heavies don't push in order to sort of like, if their heavies don't push in order to like remove the mediums from the hill, then it's pretty much a one-sided game. So being in a platoon, me and my friend decided to make our way up the hill. And so over here, I took the really long way of getting there. You know, M48 doesn't necessarily have the greatest top speed, so I was already sort of like wondering whether I would be able to make it in time or not. And you know, the Lorraine, who was behind him, you know, just certainly stops in the middle, and you know, instead of helping the one medium that decided to go up the hill. Now I come here rather pretty late. You know, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go and at least try to make an attempt. You know, this could have turned out very horribly here. You know, I see that he went in E4 and he tracks me, but instead of going up now, you know, I fire one shot on the move and that connects, and I instead make my way over here and attempt to sort of cut off this IS-7 from going up. I track him with my first shot, and here's where I make my first mistake. I said to run far too long, and I sort of like paid a price for it. That was one shot that was put into me by the M53 and the other one by the 261. And over here, you know, I absolutely have no idea my loader is dead, and all the time I'm wondering why my gun is taking so long to reload. And luckily enough, the third RD did not decide to shoot in my direction, so I live. Now over here, like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, you know, make sure that nobody rushes up the hill, and I'm gonna put as many shots necessary to sort of like dissuade them from doing so. Now the T-110E4 comes around the corner, and at first he decides to go up the hill, but then he kind of like changes his mind. I just spoke out, you know, I don't have enough health to sort of like take you know, risks at this time, so I just back off and I tell my platoon mate, you know, I'm gonna spot him, make sure this gun is pointed in my direction, why don't you put a shot into him? So he comes around, puts a shot into me. Now the T-110E4 is, you know, sort of like in a very bad situation where he's getting shot from the hill and also by me, and you know, unfortunately for him, he doesn't live through this process for any length of time, as you know, between me and my platoon mate, we easily finish him off. Now I turn my attention to the bunch of heavies that were camping around the corner. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use these bushes to sort of like come out, spot tanks. And I see the T-30. I put one shot into him, and back off because I'm pretty sure I was spotted. The sixth sense goes off and kind of like confirms. At the same time, I'm sort of like keeping the rock in between where I think the RD is. I know the 261's spotted all the way in the north. I tried to take out this T-30, but he's fairly lucky. That shot, I don't know where that shot went. I come, back. Now I'm gonna make my movements erratic. I don't want to just go out every like clockwork, every time, because like when people do that to me, sometimes I'll put like speculative shots. I'm just trying to take the T-30's gun out of the game still. But unfortunately for me, he sort of like moved rather unpredictably, and I could not pick him off. My platoon mate takes a hit from somewhere along the other side, and at this range, unless I'm loading gold and the E100 is facing me like frontally, there's no way I'm gonna pen him. So I try to see if I have a shot on the E100, but I don't. I see the T-30 again, and I aim, and this time his tracks eat him. I go forward at this point, like, this was a bad move on my part. I could have been taken off if they already was paying attention, but they obviously had bigger fish to fry up in the north. So I come forward again, hoping to spot something. I'm gonna move slowly and not go all the way like fast. I put one more shot where the T-30 I think was spotted, and I still get no confirmation that I've killed him. So I sort of like back off in the rocks and sort of like take my time. I don't want to poke out again. I'm sure they're looking in this direction now, trying to figure out whether they have shots on me or not. At this point, I kind of like realized that the tank I was shooting has gone all the way back. So there's an E100 right there somewhere which I can't spot. I see E75 and FV215 B183 that thing I despise with a passion. And I put one shot into his side, bringing him down fairly low. I know since he is fairly low, he'll be staring in that corner like non-stop. So I take longer in between shooting again because I don't want to go out and get shot. I shoot at the M103, which was trying to back off. I take the target of opportunity the M103 provided. I just took my shot in an attempt to do more damage, because they're gonna still be here. There's no hurry in trying to take out the 183. He's not like going around killing my teammates. So I take some more time. Hopefully the M103 is bored. I tried to spot him and sort of like not fire, so as to sort of like playing some mind games with him, trying to make him think what I'm doing versus what I'm not doing. I'm doing this very slowly so as to make sure that now tanks have moved into a new position. I fire a shot at the 183 and luckily it connects, and that tank is taken out of the game. So I see the RD coming down, and at this point I wasn't really paying much attention to him. I come out, try to put a shot in the E75, but E75 is a pretty tough nut to crack. And at this point, unfortunately, my platoon mate sort of like is taken out rather brutally. I come out again, I know the M48 is sitting in the open, because he didn't think he was going to live for long, so he was just trying to get some shots off before he died. And I just sort of like back up again, because I'm spotted. Now at this point I see this M46 just like YOLOing across into our TDs, and right about there I just had enough gun depression to sort of like put a shot into him. Luckily for me, he was firing HE, and at this point you know, it's sort of like game over for all these tanks because the other heavies on our team are gonna wrap around and push them off. So hopefully you enjoyed this game. At the end, I did fire some gold to confirm some damage on the E75, but you know, not have made it much of a difference. So hopefully, like between the two maps, you kind of like had some idea of how to play those maps if you're in your mediums. If you like what you see, subscribe, leave a comment. If you see something that I could do better, I'd be more than happy to listen to you. And hopefully, I'll see you on the next episode of Noobs to Pros.